Today we're going to make some little birds. It's almost time for migration, so we're just going to make these simple little bird pendants. And what we're going to do is, you can use several of the clays that Activa sells, but today we're going to use the Plus clay in the white. So I'm just going to pinch off some here. Pretty good amount there, and I'm going to fold over the rest really good, place it back into this bag and fold it over, squish all the air out, and then seal it and put it back over here. Now when I'm working with clay, this clay, air dry clay, I also, that's my dog giving her 2 cents worth. I also keep saran wrap and wrap up the pieces I'm not using currently. So we'll try this again. If you hear roughs, my dog thinks I've gone crazy, so just ignore her. Okay, so I'm going to use this part of the clay kit that you can get from Activa, and I'm using the 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch bars. And I'm placing them on the sides here, putting my clay in the middle, using the fine roller that they provide in the clay kit, and just roll out some clay. And I always turn it and do it both ways, you know, just to make it nice and even. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take it off of this for the moment, and I'm going to use this random scoop that I got out of something, I don't know what, and just make a little circle. And now make sure you put your circle pretty flat. Also for this piece, like, I'm going to make 2 circles actually, so we'll go ahead and make another one. And what I'm going to do with the rest is just kind of put it in this little saran wrap. And if it gets even a little dry in that, you can spray just a tiny bit of water just to keep it moist, and then wrap it back up and it'll be nice and moist. Now there's 2 things you can do. You can leave it plain, or you can stamp or put some kind of pattern on one of them. So I'm going to leave one plain, and then I'm going to put a pattern on another. I'm just going to take like this stamp here and make sure that you press the stamp pretty good so that the pattern gets in there. Kind of move around, and I have a pretty good stamp. Now I've kind of mushed it more on one end than the other, but we're going to take care of that in another way. So we've got our 2 basic patterns. Then you're going to go back to your little pieces of clay, and to me, making the wing is kind of a harder part, so I kind of use a cookie cutter, leaf cutter, to help me out. Okay, with making the wings, I have trouble sometimes getting it the way I wanted, so I found this set of leaf cookie cutters, and I'm going to take one of them that most resembles kind of a wing, and I'm going to take this other part that we've got in our little saran wrap, take it out, lay it flat again, and you could re-roll it if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that right now. And I'm going to cut 2 pieces from this for the wings. I'm going to pop them out here. Alright, and I'm going to take the rest of my clay, because it's air dry. As soon as it hits the air, it starts to dry. So make sure you keep it wrapped up when you're not working with it, if you have extra. Now, one of these wings I'm going to again put a pattern on, and the other one I'm just going to let it be plain. So this time I'm just going to take this random stamp and kind of make a pattern in there. Alright, so it's a little large for a wing for what we're doing, so what I'm going to do is take a blade and cut part of it off and kind of feel my way into how a wing should be. So I want the rounded part at the end pretty good. So I'm going to cut like a bit off of both of them, but I want my round part. Okay, and that's still, this one's still a little big, so I'm going to cut a little more off. There we go. Now I'm going to shape it a little bit so it's more like a wing, excuse me. So it's more like a wing. Now with clay, you know, you got to kind of smooth out your rough edges now. You could sand it later, but you know, there's always the chance that you're going to take a little bit off. Sometimes what I'll do is just dab my finger a little bit and kind of smooth it out. Not too much. You don't want a lot of water on this clay because it's air dry and it's kind of, you know, it can pretty easily dissolve away. So tip your ends a little bit, smooth it out. Leah, it's okay. Smooth it out. And then I'm going to take the patterned one and put it about centered there on this plain one. And you might need a little something to hold that wing up, so I'm going to just kind of take I'm just going to take the sponge here and kind of hold it up. But you kind of want to, as you're laying that down, because you want it to stay, sometimes what you need to do is kind of like make some marks to kind of give the clay something to grip onto. But also what I find that works better with this is to just put a dab of water and then put your wing on. And then just kind of shape it the way you want. I think I want it down a little bit more. And then, yeah, just kind of put it there. I'm going to smooth this end out a little. Whoops, wrong tool. I'm going to smooth this end out. Sorry for my fingers. You can't see very well when I'm doing it like that. But anyway, now I'm going to put that sponge under there to hold that wing up a little. And there's that. This one I'm going to shape it again, more like a wing. I like to make a little curve in the wing because, you know, birdies have curvy wings sometimes. And there. And I'm going to kind of try to smooth this out a little because it's easier to do this now than it would be after it's dried, because then you might mess up your pattern on your main part. So I'm going to just smooth it out so it looks nice. Okay, we were making the little tail part, and I put the clear tail on this one, and now we're going to do one for this other bird, and we're going to make a little, just a little shape. It doesn't even have to be, I'll probably cut some of this off. But anyway, I'm going to indent it a little, and then I'm going to put a pattern on this part, just really lightly, just enough to make a little pattern there. I'll dip it with water about where I want the tail, and then kind of put the tail feathers on there, and then I'm going to put a little water just to smooth things on here a little bit. I'm going to dab it. I got a little bit too much. And then I'll kind of ease the clay around each other so it'll stick better, stick pretty good. And if it comes off after it's finished, you can just glue it back on. It's no big deal. That's the beauty of this type of clay. So it'll easily go back on. There we go. And then you just let it dry. On this one I'm going to do another little cutout so you can tell that it's tail feathers. There we go. I'm going to bristle them a little. Alright, and then we'll let it dry. Then you can paint it with acrylic paint. There's all kind of finishes you can do. I'm going to do some experiments with different types of ways to color the clay afterwards on the different types of clay that Activa offers. So anyway, that's our little tutorial on how to make little birds. And oh yeah, one other little thing I almost forgot. If you want to make these pendants, you can make them like magnets, but we had made these as pendants. So I'm going to, about in the center there, just make a little hole so it'll be able, you'll be able to string it either with wire or something like that. You can use the end of your paintbrush. That's a little larger than I want. I'm going to take the tip here and just go down and make sure I have a hole that'll be easy to get through later. That's Leah once again letting us know that she's here, and she thinks I'm crazy and she's barking at us. Sorry about that. But anyway, after it's dry, we're going to clear up these ends with a little sandpaper, and we'll finish it then. Thanks.